Hi neighbors, how we doing today? It's Kelly at Whisker Ridge, and I wanted to give you an update on the beginners planting video that we did a few days ago, actually more than a week ago. Been a little absent this week. I have been working my behind off in the studio. Do you have any idea what it's like to drywall a ceiling? I cannot feel my arm. I have muscles working that I didn't know I had that kind of feeling. I get in the bed at night and just don't even remember falling asleep. I'm just that tired. But I am super excited to report that our Canterbury bells that we planted together on our beginners planting, we were talking about barely pressing in the seeds, because if you bury them too deep, they don't know where to go. They don't get enough heat and light to germinate, and they can't come up. They just rot in the soil. So, oh my goodness, we have half the flat. I really hope that you can see that, because I would say we have 30%, maybe 40% germination. Almost half of these cells. I mean, look at these beauties right here. So it's been 8 days. I looked at the calendar and it's been 8 days. So it says seedlings emerge in 10 to 14 days. So germination faster than that. Some of these folks could come up and join us, but I've got, in the ones that have germinated, I have 4 to 6 in each one. So once they get over 1.5 inches tall and they get a thicker stalk on them, then I can gently separate them. It says thin them before transplanting, so you don't want them too crowded. And it says the space is 18 inches. So when we get stronger seedlings, then we will be able to gently pull those root fibers apart and thin them to space them in a long row. So I have a place, I'll show you when we transplant them. We're going to wait a couple more weeks because obviously these are teeny tiny and we want them to be stronger than that. But when I transplant them, I'll show you where they're going to live. And again, let's talk about perennial. This is a perennial flower that I can plant now that's going to bloom every year. And usually at the end of the season, all my perennials that are planted in the ground around the curb and decorative, I just mow over them. They go all the way down to the root, and we start again the next year. Also, they get mulched over the winter. That's very important too when you have these perennial flowers, to really put 2 to 3 inches of mulch around their roots to protect them. Here we get snow pretty much every year, this part of the Ozarks, and it can last a week. The first year that I was here, it came twice. It was in January, and then like the second week of February, we got another few days. But it can be, 7 to 10 degrees for a week, and or hover around in the teens. So everything that's perennial, that's got those deep roots, or it's their first year, so these will be the first year that they're going in the ground, I'm going to really want to cover those up and protect those roots. But the beautiful thing about nature is she slowly melts the snow in there. So a slow water like that at the end of the spring, right when things start to warm up, all of that nutrient-dense water, rain that was frozen, helps them also to build strong roots to bloom the next season. So it's a beautiful cycle. I'm super stoked to share with you on that. Not really sure where I had these. Just leave them right here. And then I wanted to show you these. This was an experiment that I did. So if you know on the back of packages, okay, so we're doing a beginner's gardening to understand, these will say a lot number, the origin, and the year that they're planted. Now, I try to keep my seeds separated, but this was packaged for this planting season, okay? So these right here, I wrote the date of the seeds, and these in the clear pots were 2021 seeds. Look at that, just coming up. They took a little bit longer to come join us. This one didn't work out, it's fine. I put 2 in each one because they were older seeds and I can split them later. But I've got germination, and then these right here were also 2021. So I have a white bean and a red bean. And look at this. So there were 2 seeds in each one of these, and only one got this tall. This one, nobody came up. This one's just coming up. So out of 8 seeds, I have 3 viable plants of the red beans and 8 seeds of the white. I'll have 3. So 3 and 3. I'm okay with that because these beans are very good producers. They're vining and pole beans, vining, whichever. And they produce really well. They're a dried bean, so I can store them for a long time. Put them in the buckets with the lids. I showed you the green lids on the 5-gallon buckets. And we just add to it every year and store those up. I also wanted to share with you this. Look at those roots. I barely watered from the top. This is a sweet meat. That's what it's called, a sweet meat squash. There were 2 seeds in here, 2 very healthy plants. But these either need to be up potted or transplanted outside. It is okay to transplant squash now. They can handle any high 30s we have in the nighttime. But when you get these long fibers like this, you need to be very careful pulling them out of the pot, then separate them gently and plant them. These are also about 2 feet apart because they're going to vine out and make squash. Now, sweet meat kind of has the bulbous shape of an acorn squash, but on the inside it's like a butternut, like a pumpkin consistency. And it's a sweet meat because it has that savory with the sweet together. It makes beautiful pie, even though it's not a pumpkin type. I have used it, supplemented some of this, blend it all down, roast it in the oven, blend it all down to smooth, mix it with your ingredients. Beautiful pie. It's a little more savory than you're used to with like sweet pumpkin pie. It's great. So what else do I want to share with you? Marigolds. So I planted, these are also last year's seeds. These are my sweet meats I was just talking about, but these are my marigolds, and they're just about ready to go outside. Some of them are very small and still too shy, too young to go out there. But these are last year's seeds. And marigolds are one of those that you just barely press into the dirt. A few years ago, I had some pots outside and I just buried those seeds. You've got to be really careful. I covered that before about how much dirt you put on top. If it says 1/4 of an inch, they mean it. If it says barely pressed in, I planted some flowers. Something I had not planted before. I was going to show you the package. And it says do not cover. You literally just cast them. You can throw them out in the yard, or you just sprinkle them over the top and spritz them. And they have their own way of kind of melting into the dirt. Also, I wanted to talk about pelleted seeds. So when you get a package of seeds, It may be the fine little, the canterberries I showed you that look like ground pepper. But also pelleted seeds help you as a beginner gardener because they've put a coating on each of the seeds. They may be orange, red, green, yellow, whatever. And that helps you to see where your seeds are in the dirt. When you're making your little lines in the dirt, or if you're trying to, go around an edge of if you're trying to go around the edge of a very large pot, you want something in the middle and then you want little flowers around it. Pelleted seeds or packets that say easy to grow, easy to sow. Those are pelleted seeds that are coated in a safe coating in colors where you can see them. Carrots come like that because they're tiny. Little flowers come like that. But if it says easy to sow and it has a clear film on the front, then you'll be able to see the seeds. And they're pelleted. And that makes it a beautiful thing for the tiny little seeds. So I've been a busy little planter. I did petunias. Love those in hanging baskets. They flow over. Nasturtiums are really good to plant with your water bearings like cucumbers, and they help repel the pests. So one thing you want to know about some of these, when it says container friendly, that's fine too, but also seedlings are better if you rub them. So some seeds will say that note to aid germination, rub the seeds with a nail file. So these nasturtiums are like that. They look like this. So it's kind of like a very small end of a cashew or something. And I just took a nail file between my fingers and just kind of, oops, that one's down there now. Just kind of roll it around against the nail file. And then I put my nasturtiums in water for like an hour. And this is an annual that you have to plant every year. But I'm telling you, those flowers are gorgeous, and they do come in these fall colors. And I have seen some in white and a really pale yellow like buttercream. But these colors are nice contrast in the summer when you've got your pinks and purples and other things, just beautiful flowers. So you will see packets that say, special instructions. So it's very important. Moonflowers, morning glories, things like that, you might want to soak in water before. Beans, sometimes they want you to soak in water. So some of the packets have specific instructions on them. Okay, so at the dollar store, 5/4 nowadays, they will have these packets of blends. Okay, and so I really want to encourage the pollinators. At some point, I will start keeping bees because that's amazing pollination. But for right now, I buy these for 5/4, and this is a shade area. So make sure when you're buying the wildflower blends, there are some that are for shade. And so I'm going to just cast these out. I have an area on the side of the house that I sprinkled. Also got these from the 5/4 store. Impatiens, I just did that on one area, and then for like 1/3 of the area. And then for the other 2/3 of the area, I'm going to do this. At the very end, I have some hostas that my neighbor, not my virtual neighbor, my neighbor gave me from her yard. And I need to pull up some others in my yard and kind of fill that area in. But some of these in here can get to be, 18 inches tall. And so that's a good variation of heights and depths of how big the flowers get. So consider this. This works really well for a shaded area where, you know, you might just have a little bit of filtered sun through your trees, or you get morning sun and it's not really enough to heat up something that thrives in full sun. This makes beautiful casted area for a full pollinator garden in the shade. So these are really inexpensive way to fill an area. And plus, the more flowers I grow and the more food I grow in my yard, the less mowing I have. So, woohoo. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. I wanted to catch you up on what's going on in the greenhouse. You see plenty of tall stuff back here, some cucumbers, eggplant, some new things I planted. My sister and I had to take the shelf out of here because we needed it in the studio. So I've got some things just on these little cheapy stands back here, but almost everything is ready to go outside, especially vegetables that I've been babying in here since mid-March. And yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day. It's so good to see you.